You ever get that feeling that you're working harder than ever but somehow falling further behind? Like you're running on a treadmill and someone else just keeps cranking up the speed? Well, you're not crazy. You're not imagining it. There's a hidden force at play in the economy, and today we're going to drag it out into the light.
So let's get right into it. Why does it feel like the whole financial game is, well, rigged? To really get it, let's forget about complicated economic charts for a minute and think about something way simpler, a football stadium.
Picture this. You're at a sold-out game. A giant blimp floats over the stadium, and it's about to drop $10 million in brand new cash. But here's the catch. It doesn't drop it evenly. Nope. It hovers directly over the fancy VIP boxes, where all the billionaires and corporate execs are sitting. The people in the VIP boxes just open their windows and rake it all in. What do? They immediately run to the concession stands and buy up everything, hot dogs, jerseys, the whole shebang, at the original prices. But by the time that cash finally makes its way down to you, way up in the nosebleeds, what's happened? The vendors have seen all this new money flooding in, and they've jacked up their prices. Everything is now 3 times as expensive. The VIPs got richer, you just got poorer.
Now that whole stadium story, it isn't just a fun little analogy. It's actually a perfect illustration of a really powerful economic idea. It's called the Cantillon effect.
So what's the big idea here? Simple. The Cantillon effect says that new money is not neutral. It matters a lot where it enters the economy. It's all about who gets their hands on it first. This isn't just about more money floating around, it's about the sequence of who gets to spend it.
And what's wild is that this isn't some new theory. We're talking about an idea from the 18th century. This guy, Richard Cantillon, an Irish-French banker, noticed that whenever new gold was discovered, it wasn't a party for everybody. The people closest to the king, his bankers, his friends, the court insiders, they got incredibly rich. But the regular folks, the farmers and the workers, they just got hit with higher prices for bread and rent. Fast forward to today, the king is now the central bank, and the new gold is just digital money, created with a keystroke.
So how does this whole thing play out in our world? Well, it's a surprisingly simple process. Step 1, the central bank just creates digital money. Poof, it's there. Step 2, they use that brand new money to buy assets, like government bonds, from huge financial institutions. So, step 3, the major banks and the biggest corporations get first dibs on all this new cash. And only then, step 4, does it slowly trickle down to the rest of us as wages or loans, pushing prices up every single step of the way.
And this process is not harmless. It creates this massive, ever-widening gap. It literally splits the economy in two. You've got some people on an escalator, effortlessly going up, and everyone else on that treadmill we talked about, running faster and faster just to stay in the same place.
So you end up with 2 completely different realities. On one side, you have the early receivers, or VIPs. They get the new money first. They use it to snap up assets like stocks and real estate before the prices go up. They literally profit from the very inflation they're helping to create. Then you have the late receivers. That's us, up in the nosebleeds. We get the money last, usually as a tiny wage increase long after the damage is done. We're stuck paying inflated prices for everything, and our purchasing power just gets crushed. Now, this isn't just some abstract theory. Not at all. In fact, it perfectly explains a truly shocking statistic about the American economy that shows exactly what's been happening for the last 40 years. This is the hard data that proves that feeling you have of running in place is real.
Okay, check this out. Since 1979, the productivity of the average American worker, that's the amount of value you create every hour you're on the clock, has gone up by a staggering 60%. We're working smarter and harder than ever.
But here's the kicker. How much has your real wage, your pay after you account for inflation, gone up in that exact same time? Just 17%. I mean, just look at that gap. That's not a gap, it's a canyon. You are creating 60% more value with your work, but you're only seeing 17% of the reward. So where did all that other value go? Well, the Cantillon effect siphoned it away from your paycheck and funneled it straight into the assets owned by the people closest to the money printer.
Let's just call this what it is. This isn't some random market outcome. It functions exactly like a hidden tax. It's an inflation tax, and it's paid almost entirely by the poor and the middle class, the very people who have to spend most of their income on things like food, gas, and rent, which are all getting more expensive by the day.
Okay, so the system feels rigged. What can you possibly do about it? Well, the point of understanding all this isn't to get depressed, it's to get the playbook. You might not be able to stop the waterfall of new money, but you can absolutely change where you're standing.
And this right here brings us to the single biggest mistake most people make. They try to save their way to wealth by holding cash in a savings account. In an economy where the currency is being constantly diluted, holding cash is like trying to carry water in a bucket full of holes. You are guaranteed to lose.
So what's the playbook? It's simple, really. You have to start thinking like the people in the VIP box. First, become an owner, not just an earner. That means getting your money out of cash and into scarce assets that can't be printed out of thin air. Think real estate or a simple stock market index fund. You want to own the things that catch that new money waterfall first. Second, use debt strategically. When you take out a fixed-rate loan, like a 30-year mortgage, to buy an asset that's going up in value, you get to pay that loan back with future dollars that are worth less than the ones you borrowed. Suddenly, inflation is working for you, not against you. And third, find ways to increase your income faster. This could mean starting a business where you set the prices, or developing a skill that's so rare and valuable that your wages are forced to keep up with the rising cost of everything else.
Look, the system is designed to punish people who save cash and reward people who own assets and use debt. It feels unfair, but that's the reality of the game we're in. The good news is you now understand the rules, so the only question left is, where are you going to choose to sit?